Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone to Mapleton City Council this evening, Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. We'll begin with an invocation by Councilman Carlson and led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Beck.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before Thee at this time, we express gratitude and appreciation for the blessings that we have and the joy. We're grateful for the moisture we've been receiving and pray that it may continue to relieve the drought, but also the severity of the storms will be minimal. We also are grateful to live in this town, grateful for the many opportunities that we have and that we experience here, and pray we may be guided to make correct decisions to help all citizens feel that this is a good place to live and be comfortable and safe and secure in this area. We also pray for our country, and we pray for those in need. We pray for those who are suffering. In the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. Casey's doing it.
Casey's doing it.
Oh, Casey's doing it. Oh, I thought you did. Sorry, Casey. I didn't pay attention. She asked me first, though. I thought.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Casey, that's what happens when you don't pay attention.
I asked for it, so it's okay.
I just thought you were extra patriotic.
I got it. I'm
Well,
ready
there's
for it. It's 10 years resolution to be patriotic.
Thank you, Reed and Casey and Leslie. We'll begin with public forum. AJ signed up. Let's see. Yeah, the other one's action item. So go ahead and come forward. Well, we have one public hearing item. Are you speaking toward that, AJ, or are you? Okay, yeah, come on up.
No,
Okay,
so come up.
so come on up now. You say your name
Okay.
first so that Camille gets it.
Yeah, my name's AJ Rich. I'm a resident. And do I just state what I was here for?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
Talked about it, so I told him to.
Right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've actually
Excellent.
talked with Leslie and also Reed. Basically, our family, we've been to, well, I served my church mission in Denmark many, many years ago. And in 2017, we went and visited, I took the whole family, and we found this Danish artist who uses reclaimed wood, or like scrap wood, trash wood, and constructs these really cool trolls. And the trolls are sometimes, I don't know, like 15, 20 feet high, depending. And they're different poses, different kind of styles, things. Well, his same style, but meaning like different trolls. Anyway, and we had such a fun time exploring and finding these trolls in nature in Denmark. And then, of course, so we saw 4 of them when we were there in 2017. And then we found out and heard that there was one that he had built in Breckenridge, Colorado. So we went and saw that in 2020. And then we went back this summer and found one more while we were there. And he has, several, many over, and in places over the world are now commissioning him to build these, like in Korea, and there are several in the United States. I think there's a park in Illinois that has some now. Anyway, so that was kind of my thing. I know with the trail system that we're developing here in the city, it might be kind of a fun addition, maybe, in conjunction with that, to kind of get some people off the, I don't know. So that was kind of my idea, was maybe, and he's doing, right now, he's sending out a application, because he's coming over with his team to the United States, and they're looking for more sites to build, because they'll be in the area in the summer. And so that was kind of the idea, was, this might be a timely type thing to, if this is something of interest to Mapleton City, having him come, going through that process, applying, and then having him build a troll.
AJ, I looked at, the link that you shared with me. I noticed they're quite large. Do they come at various heights, or are they all really large?
Well, I think from what I've gathered, they're all pretty big. I mean, and you can climb on them. I mean, depending on how he constructs them, sitting or standing or laying down. He's got some where they're interacting with cars. So it's kind of a fun, playful, kind of style that he does. And so it kind of depends. I think if the budget was huge, you could build a huge troll or several trolls. It just kind of depends, as far as I know.
What kind of an approximate cost, do you have any idea? You don't know any of those details?
I don't
Okay.
have any idea. I know that he likes to involve the community, like volunteering, so that they can kind of feel that it's part of their community. I'm not sure
Okay.
about the cost, though. I sent him a query, but I haven't heard back,
Okay.
so,
I would imagine it's kind of like probably a small playground cost,
exactly,
I would imagine.
I would think
I
so.
don't know.
Yeah, and of course, one of his requirements is that the wood needs to be recycled wood. So,
I'd be curious to know what the obligation is of the city aside from dollars. You know,
oh, would be, I think,
Secure
think-
the ground, as I recall.
yes, well, of course, a safe place for the troll. He likes it to be in nature, of course. I don't know, from what I recall, I don't think it's terribly a long distance away from buildings, but I think in the application that I read, it was like he'd hoped to be a mile away from any building. I don't know if that's possible, or if that's in consideration where it could be less, but, so, yeah.
Does he do like humans, like we could do on a Chief Jackson on the trail, like sitting
Yeah, well,
there,
there's,
like welcoming the people? Yes.
I don't know about guns, because he is from the Northern Europe, but I know that he could probably, I mean, they come in all shapes and sizes and beards, and they're really fun.
It sounds pretty cool.
Doesn't the community have a little bit of input to what it might be, look like, or?
I think so. I'm sure that we could probably have some say in it, especially if there's funding coming from the city. But other than that, I'm not sure.
I kind of love the idea of a small-town, big-hearted troll. I'm totally not opposed to exploring it. I mean, I have no concept of cost or requirements, but I don't see any reason. I love the idea of the sustainability. I think we could have people who donate historic barnwood to it. I think it could connect, I mean, I don't know, troll versus not, like, I don't know about that, but I think there are lots of things, nature and art and sustainable environment that connect to who we are as a community, but have at it. Let's poke around and see.
Me and Logan were looking at grants earlier today. I think there's a troll grant, right?
You're trolling for a grant.
Yeah, we're trolling for grants. There we go. No,
Right.
no, but we're working on a master plan for the trails, and this could be something interesting to go along with that. Kind of fun for the kids to walk up on the trail to get to the troll.
Right,
Let's go on
it's-
a hike to the troll today.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that we've seen, it's been, like, of course, my boys would always run ahead, and it's like we'd be in the forest, like, don't get lost. You're in Denmark, don't get lost. But I think it would be a really fun, added thing. And it would probably draw some people to the community as well, knowing that there was a troll, because that's kind of what we did. We did some troll hunting as we, were there, so.
So I looked, and there's only like 2 in the west. I think there was one in Idaho and one in Colorado.
I'm not sure. I think there's a park in Illinois
Yeah,
that
I
has a
mean,
bunch.
in the west.
Oh, in the west, you're right. Yeah, I think just Colorado, and I think there's one in Jackson Hole up in that area.
Oh, yeah, not Idaho. Yeah, that's right, it was Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
I love it. It's like unique,
Yeah,
really cool character for the
good
city.
timing.
I think it's certainly worth some exploration, so we have a better idea of what the
Yeah.
obligation is, but
Yeah.
integrating it into
You mean the cost
the
matters?
cost.
I was just like, let's go, AJ.
Well,
You put a
we
quick
crush-
back sticker on it.
Isn't that how it works in Mapleton?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Danish heritage here too, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I think we even have Danes. I know a couple of them are.
I think that's a really interesting angle right there, that heritage piece.
Yeah.
I mean, heritage to the next level. That's really an interesting angle.
There's still some barns that are on their last leg that could be torn down, that could be used for this too, around the city. Yeah, cool.
So what would be, I mean, you've made an inquiry, and I mean, is that something that you'd be willing to be involved
How much
in?
work are you willing to put
Yeah.
into this?
That's
Is what Leslie's asking.
That's it.
Right. No, I'd be more than happy to kind of be the, what do you call it, the spokesperson, the.
Liaison.
Liaison. I know there's an online application, and on there, I think we would need to know like budget, location. I think that's like, they want to know what the location would be. So I don't know how fast that could be.
Well, I don't even know that we have even a remote scope or a concept of what range are we talking, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
$5,000, $150,000, I don't know.
Right.
He's not coming over.
I could give a
No.
big ballpark and they could.
If you could say, like the pictures you had, you could say that one was 50 grand, that one was 80 grand, that was 100 grand, something like that. We could get a sense for it, but
Yeah, and I've asked, I don't know how long it'll take to get, I kind of got pushed to their,
You know what?
Team.
I think perhaps reaching out to the community, like
Yeah.
Ridge and Jackson Hole,
That's what I was gonna
and
say.
see if they'll give you some context of what their process was.
okay.
That might be a way to
Because they
start.
can give both monetary valuation of what they paid, but also the experience that they had with the whole thing.
Right, okay. All right. Any
that'd
other,
be
Thanks
sweet.
for volunteering.
yeah.
You're hired.
Thanks for raising your hand, yeah.
Right, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I would need to get cleared up before I go forward.
If you need a picture of Chief Jackson, you can take it now, in case he can mimic him, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I can't, so I guess I'll go forward and I'll reach, do we have an idea of like where it would be? Or? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, by the bicycle park.
Yeah,
potential.
southeast part of
You
town.
got
where
the
trails
Crowd
go.
Canyon we own a ways up
Yeah.
that little canyon. I think it might be kind of cool up there, but,
Up there drinking
Yeah.
water.
yeah, I mean, that, where the trail system would run up to it and
Yeah, that,
What's the canyon called?
Crowd Canyon.
called Crack Canyon. It's
The water
not really
tank is
very
on the
accessible
south
now,
end.
but it will be soon.
Okay. All right,
AJ, thanks a lot.
me? Okay.
No, appreciate it. It's awesome.
Thank you. I'm gonna skip out, so.
We'll get in touch.
What, budget? You don't want to stick around for the budget?
Well, have a good night.
thank you.
This is, makes it for a perfect opportunity to welcome Rob. We brought you an item that specifically for you. You know, we know in Provo you'd never get an item as good as that. City council meeting, so we decided to have it tonight, especially for you. That's one of our most important items we'll have at the city, right there.
I'm really impressed that he knew that I went to Copenhagen just earlier last year, actually, and saw one of the trolls, yeah. So that was fun to hear about it again.
That's awesome.
There's real trolls over there, too.
Yeah.
Well, we will welcome to the city and welcome to the crew and the team, and
Yeah, thank you.
we're excited to have you. We feel lucky we got you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, so,
Still, even
yeah.
if it wasn't too bad, huh?
Yeah, well, I
Snowstorms and
told Steven drinking from a fire hose, but that's what I expected, so. No, I'm very happy to be here. We got a great Public Works crew, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. All right. We'll go to our consent agenda items, which is one, an approval of city council meeting minutes for December 7th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes from December 7th, 2022.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilman Beck and a second by Councilman Carlson.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
All right, we'll move to item number 2, a public hearing item, which is consideration of a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2023 budget. Mr. Euler.
Thank you, Mayor.
You want this?
There we go. So I've sent the budget amendment out and I've made it available to the public, so I'm just gonna do a summary of the budget. And then if you have questions, we can dive deeper into anything. The governmental fund is going to increase the expenses by $480,000. Our revenues are increasing by $685,000, giving us a $205,000 surplus. The majority of our revenue increases were basically our sales tax. I'm trying to get that a little more true to what I think that's going to be, so we increased that by, I think, $300,000. Yeah, let's go to the next. In our capital projects and our enterprise funds, we are increasing the capital project fund by $205,000. We've already spent that. Most of that was spent to Spanish Fork for the trail connections. And that's going to be, I think, a 3-year process.
Yeah, we've done a lot of the design work before the funds are available through MAG, so that's part of what this is, right?
Yep, yep. And then we are decreasing the public safety body camera expense as that was paid out of last year's budget. It got in there at the end, and we'd already approved this year's budget with that in there, so we're just fixing that up. And then the enterprise funds do not have any significant changes in them. So the thing that is most consistent in the enterprise and in the general fund is the salary increase. That's going to be a 4% salary proposal at this time, and basically due to inflation. We've sent you emails on that and have had those discussions on the inflations. Our studies have shown that it's more true around 8%, but 4% is a good, healthy number for the budget at this time. So are there any questions at this point?
I just wanted to add, based on our conversations in the Budget Committee, that we had talked about reviewing things in, is it July? Before the June, before the next fiscal year, and making any adjustments to that if needed at that time.
Yeah.
With inflation, though, can it go more than 4% in June, or is 4% where that cap would be?
Inflation, who knows what it's going to do.
Just wonder if there's a flexibility there.
Yeah, we'll definitely be able to talk in June, and we'll have a better idea of. So what has happened is we looked at all of the market at this as of today. What is the market, and it gave us a number of 8% change to catch us up to the market, and most of that was based on inflation. I even believe the Social Security Administration was around 8%. And yeah, come June, and probably before June, we'll be talking with you and meeting, and we will see where that's at that point. The market's not really we're not gonna have updated market information because that usually happens in July. July to August is when we start to have that data come in. But yeah, come June, we can have further conversations and have a little more information of where those adjustments should be.
And then with that first point, does that mean there's been a breakthrough with Union Pacific?
No, that's just paying our fees to date on what we spent to the design firm. Union Pacific did get some requested revisions back, so we're reviewing those. I haven't seen those yet from Spanish Fork, but they've been submitted. So at least that means we're talking, so that's good news.
And we're scheduled to meet with Spanish Fork next week, and we're going to have Sean and Rob go over there and get some updates on that, so.
Thanks, Bryce. Bryce's assistant with the projector, thank you.
I did have a question on one item, if I could, on page 10.
Go ahead. Sorry.
10, I had a question on one of the adjustments.
Yeah.
It was the last one on page 3 about the bad debt. I was just wondering what the bad debt was.
Okay, so this is really just an audit item that we also have to budget for. So at the end of each fiscal year, we determine how much our outstanding debt is with the ambulance collections, and based on that number that we get, we have to also budget for a uncollectible portion. It's a paper number.
I understand what it is now.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Bryce, appreciate it. This being a public hearing item, we will open it to the public for public comment. Seeing there are none, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion from the council.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consideration of the resolution to amend the fiscal year 2023 budget as indicated.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Garrett and a second by Councilmember Jones.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Great. Item number 3 is an action item. It's consideration of a resolution for extreme high definition IPTV streaming subscription for residential and business customers in Mapleton City. Mr. Hancock.
We weren't sure whether we were able to show you this because we're those YouTube TVs.
Test your IT skills.
Okay, a few months ago, administration asked me to look into a IPTV streaming service that we could possibly deploy here.
We're not going to hear him.
And maybe go to the mic if you
I was gonna say,
I just wanted to show you kind of the dashboard of what it looks like. A few months ago, the city council asked me to look into HD IPTV streaming service that we could deploy along with our fiber. We started to look into this service. First, we started with some major carriers, and there's a lot of, as you guys know, there's a lot of carriers out there for streaming. If you've had your television, you could see that there's the YouTube, there's Hulu, there's a zillion of them. And so we looked at some of these major carriers, and even though these major carriers had some really nice options for television, they weren't really willing to give us any kind of a reseller option that would make it worth Mapleton's while to go ahead and deploy one on our own. There was other options, which were to invest in some HA equipment, which is some expensive gear for down in the network operations center, and then deploy our own and maintain our own, which was going to be pushing into the $300,000 to $400,000 range. And so as we looked at this, and we thought that probably the best thing to do is to look at an IP streaming subscription that we could go ahead and go out with to the public with. This streaming service that we chose is probably one of the number one choices for streaming services as far as reseller options are. There's probably 10 or 12 of those out there. This particular one, which is HDIP, is a worldwide service. It covers many, many countries. It covers all of the sports. It covers all of the U.S. channels. There is some movies that are involved with it as well, but these movies are about a month or so behind, but they eventually get the rest of the movies on. There's also some streaming series that are on it as well, but for the most part, where they shine is the IPTV streaming. On the streaming, when I say that they're worldwide, you can get almost in every language, any kind of channels that are on the IP streaming services. Most streaming services get their services from the same servers, the same place. And so they all subscribe to a streaming service, and then they mark up these services. They build apps to make them better. They invest in series, like the Netflix series, some of the other series that are privately owned to make them better. So as we looked at this, we thought this would be a good way to actually compete. And this particular service, if you've read the staff report, is going to be about $14.99 per connection. Now, when I say per connection, that's per device. This service is based on a credit system. You purchase so many credits, and each credit will allow you to stream it on each device. And so as we looked at this, we thought that we could go out with the original price of $14.99 for the first credit. And then every additional piece that the subscriber wanted to use, we would charge a $9.99, to basically $10 for any more services they wanted to get. Now, that means that if they wanted to run it on a smart TV or a tablet or a phone, that would all cost a credit for you to run it on those systems. We could bundle this thing and say, you know, we could charge so many credits for, you know, you could buy a 3-credit or a 5-credit system. And I've kind of shown that in the staff report of how that would work as far as what the cost would be for, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Probably the good part is that this particular streaming service only cost Mapleton $5 per credit. And we would charge, we were looking at the charging rates at about $14. And then, of course, the additional of $10, we'll still be making a $5 profit on that. Basically, the profits are on that, the margins are in that 70% range on this particular service. We looked at a lot of different services. There's some that are not legit services. There's some that have some issues. The top 10 that we decided to really look at are considered legal services. But like I said, they are worldwide. There's different laws in different areas. I know that before we make a decision that we should at least run it by our legal before we have any signed contracts. But as far as our research looks at, this was the best service for us to go ahead and deploy. I just want to make sure that we understand that this is a streaming subscription. And what that means is we are a reseller. All we do is package it and resell it. The company actually maintains the service as far as a 24-hour help desk, those parts of the service. We just make sure that the highway or the how to get there will work. Another good point is that this service can be deployed across all of Mapleton City, whether they have our fiber service or not. It runs on whatever network they have for the service. And so it'd be something that can be deployed right away across the city.
So one of the things in our discovery for fiber internet was the Spanish Fork City told us don't do a cable TV because we don't make any money doing it and it's a hassle. And they're trying to create their own system, right? They're putting it all together and trying to broadcast, and it costs more than what it costs them more to run it to have it than it's worth, and so than what they charge. So when I spoke to the seniors, and I don't know how long ago it was, a couple months maybe, this was one of the things they asked me was, are you going to have some TV subscription available to get it? And this was an option. We're just a reseller. We're not running the program. We're not doing any of that. So whether it's worth it or not, I don't really know. But it is a revenue generator. If this is showing, obviously, 100% of the connections get it. But
well, look, I can see a local channel there, right? KSL.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you was to go
you
through
have
this
all
with
channels.
it's actually unbelievable. There's like hundreds of sports. You can go to sports and like, so if you subscribe to it, you have all the sports channels. There's hundreds of movies. I mean, I couldn't believe what was on there. You literally access anything.
There's about 16,000 IP streaming channels to look at worldwide, and it has all the U.S. and it is enormous. There is what you're looking at right there is a program guide, but I developed. In other words, I just did my favorites and just popped them in there, so you guys can see. So you'd have to go through and grab them and put them in a favorites so that you'd have them there. We could do some bundles where we would put most favorites in a bundle that they can see, but they'd still have access to worldwide channels. They can go in and find them and drop them into a favorite.
This allows people that don't have a smart TV to be able to log in, to be able to have a TV subscription on their TV. Otherwise, you have a smart TV and you get whatever service you want anywhere.
Yeah, the US channels and stuff have servers that are here based in the US, so they're fairly quick. If you start looking at, I don't know, Turkey and Iran and some of the smaller UK cities and stuff, in Australia, if they don't have a server based in the US, it's fairly slow to get it up and running, but there's some buffering time. But once it's buffered, then it goes. But those are really because of where the servers are located at for those. But all the U.S. content services are here, and it's fairly quick.
Will each user be able to create their own? They'll be able to manage their profile and put their favorites in there.
In fact, I can show you a little bit of that.
And are there controls for like what movies you don't want kids to watch? Parental controls. Are there ways to manage what movies kids can watch? Some parental controls.
There's a security where you turn the security on and you have to password it.
Okay.
If you go out here and look at this, there's a favorites box right here, and as you stream down through all of these channels that are on this thing.
Did Steven set this category up?
As you look at those, you can just punch on the channel you want, and it goes into your favorites. And that ends up being, of course, right here.
Did you see Netflix Premium?
So say if I wanted to go in here and look at
Netflix Premium.
Oh, yeah, sure.
entertainment channels. So all the entertainment channels, there's
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Fun movies on tonight.
Is that happening at the Maverick right now? Chief?
That's the gas and go, chief. You better dispatch your guys.
Guys, we're meeting.
Whoa.
Did you do that on purpose?
That channel in your favorites.
What do you watch?
There is adult content, but we don't apply to that goal, we don't apply for it. I mean, if somebody wants to go to their site, they can apply for that and get it.
But that's outside of us.
Yeah,
That's
we're
direct
not-
with.
we just don't stream it, we just don't apply for it.
So I assume for the fee, it's unlimited? There's no premium channel, you have to pay a little extra to get?
No, not on the IP stuff is mainly just streaming.
No other fees?
If you look at what they really call premium channels, like with Netflix, they're all the series and the stuff that they've invested in and shot themselves, and those are always premium type things. So, I mean, you've got the Discoveries and the Smithsonian's and all of those. Those are streaming channels. Those are worldwide channels. And so they're streaming. So it's interesting because say if you go and get on History on the West here, or you click on a History Channel and you watch the History Channel, well, you can watch the History Channel all across the United States at every time zone. And so there'll be different things running, like on the East Coast versus wherever you are, and you could put those in your favorites and you can watch those at those if that happens to be something else you want to watch. But that's across the board. I mean, all of the cities, larger cities have their own channels and stuff. Well, you can watch, Cincinnati, you can watch Florida, you can watch anywhere they have a streaming system. You can watch those channels as well.
Does your device take a little box or something to pass through, or how does?
No box.
I'm going to use 3 units, you just trust me to say, I don't know, have 4?
Well, what happens is we would be a reseller, and so we would set you up in a database, and we would send you your login. That's it. You would get on your internet and go to a site, log in, download the
On that device.
on the device and watch.
If we could log in, if I signed up for 3, I could log in 3 different devices.
Anywhere, at your house, at your phone, tab, anywhere you are.
Okay, and this all comes in Wi-Fi, I assume.
Yeah, it all comes in off the internet. It's streaming IP. is what it's designed.
Is it, because it's streaming, does it have a pause feature? Can somebody pause an episode that they're watching, or is that just because it's streaming live only, they can't pause it?
There is some, I believe there is some smarts to it as far as memory. I believe you can pause it for a certain amount of time, but I haven't really checked that out.
Yeah, my questions are about the convenience and functionality. How does this compete with the biggest player in the area? And obviously, there's going to be some things. Like, I think Casey's point is I probably can't have multiple favorites lists by like, this is my kid list, this is my spouse list, except for maybe if they're for different tokens, like different of those. But things like DVRs, you know, the power of a DVR to skip commercials and to do that. This won't have that sophisticated functionality.
That's right. There is a recording function, but it's not like a DVR. You record right into some software. I mean, it's not. This isn't a super pretty system. It's more of a convenience,
Tons of
cheap
content.
system.
Yeah.
But you still get the major channels and stuff like that. So we looked at
Like live TV, it's probably the best case scenario.
yeah.
People
But-
like me who are like live.
But you can get a lot of the major stuff, though. I mean, you can get the Discoveries and the Smithsonian's, like I said, and the Lifetimes and all of those types of channels. from
And
there.
I did look up the reviews and stuff on this company, and it did seem like it was, had the best
Sports channels
comments on
alone
it.
are gonna
So
be
the
valuable.
best reviews.
It is.
Other IP.
And I know there was some question about legality, because there's always that legality. And being a worldwide streaming service is probably something that we do need to just have legal look through as before we decide to deploy something like this. But we looked at some pretty systems, which, for instance, that Centercom and some of these others, some mentioned you have YouTube TV that are really nice, beautiful systems that have the DVR functions and stuff, but you're paying a little bit of money for them.
My
We
concerns
can
are,
go that route too, but there's no real reason for us to deploy something if we can't do a resell. We might as well, I mean, because there's so many out there.
No,
if you
we just
know,
tell
you
them to
look
go
online.
get on the internet and get their own.
Right.
Yeah.
my concerns are what you've identified with obligation and liability is to make sure whatever contract we would enter into doesn't hold us hostage to numbers or quotas we can't reach, and then liabilities related to even things like adult content streaming or
Right.
whatever, and we've already kind of talked about how we can. but
Yeah, the
I mean,
major adult, kind of like I said, we have to actually apply for it, but there's always the stuff in the UK, which their main stuff is, you know, if you've ever been there, it's, you know, that's different than their adult content, but it's basically adult content. So,
Great. Any other questions for Matt? It's
Nope.
a lot of information.
So what's the next step? Just legal?
You gotta tell us whether the council,
the way I wrote the staff report was to go ahead and approve a streaming service, and we wanted to approve this streaming service, but I think it should have a contingency of making sure, doing our best due diligence on the legal end. Because, I mean, we did research ourselves, but we haven't had the legal department look at this. I don't know what that costs or how long that'll take before we can actually sign a customer
We'll
up.
get with Eric on that, so.
Is there any opportunity for us to demo the system so we can actually have confidence in things like Casey's figuring out if there's a 30-day, we can at least look
I
at it
can,
and
I
see
can
what we-
set the whole council up on this if you want. We've been demoing it for about a month now, and I've had it running down in the Network Operations Center since I started this a month and a half ago,
Yeah.
just to see, you know, how well it operated, and it was 99% uptime on it. But as far as how easy it is, there is some issues with installing this. There is a tutorial on how to install it, but you do have to install some software if you're going to go on a Windows machine. There's apps you have to download for your tablets. There's a little bit, but you know, most of the generation right now would have that in 2 seconds, but maybe older generation may take a little bit to get it up and running.
but for the
Probably.
TVs, For the TVs, it's simpler, right? It's just to log in on the internet.
Most newer TVs will have an app for this on board, but some of the older ones, the Rokus, some of these others will not have apps, but there is a way to download the app, and there is a tutorial for that, to do that, to get it up and going. The company actually has that on their site, and that is really up to those who are going to go after this service or going to sign up for this service. Now, we could staff up and go and install it in everybody's house, but that is another cost we'll have to look at, decide if that's worth it.
I think I'd like to give it a try as well, if we could get set up on a demo account. Just some of these things I'm just curious, like, you know, about.
If you guys would send me, each one who wants to have this, I will send you your login and a demo, and then just the website to see how easy it is for you to go up and set it up.
Logan's wife called and asked if he'd take his free trial away. He's been watching movies till 1 a.m. for the last month.
You know, I think my only, and I won't even say concern, but I think it's great, let's move forward. However, those that would be very likely to sign up, the older people, the seniors in our community, I would want to just be very mindful to get ahead of that learning curve.
They definitely would
That
need some
we can
help.
do, short of going into their home and installing it. Just getting ahead of that so that we can mitigate that cleanup of frustration.
Yeah, there will be, and that, they'll need help on doing that. We got to decide how to roll that out.
That is certainly a,
Yeah, and this isn't something, you know, we have to do. This is just something that we're looking at
Yeah.
to compete with, you know, the Comcast and the others. It's, like I said, it's not a super pretty system, but it's just worldwide. It's just huge.
I think we have a
definitely good
highway.
value.
I mean, you've got the highway, put some stuff on it.
If the
That's
obligation is
appropriate.
minimal, then it's almost like, why not try it?
That's right, that's right.
That's what legal needs to come in.
Yeah, and, you know, the agreement that I have attached to this thing was part of the agreement, was mainly based on the agreement we did with our fiber. And there's a lot of stuff in it to where, you know, if you know, people use this, and it's kind of like elect, we can, you know, disconnect them. There's also in there is, and I think people need to understand this, this is a streaming subscription we're giving them. It's not something that the city is actually producing.
yeah, right.
And I think they need to understand it's the same as if you sign up for a Hulu or you sign
Or
up for
YouTube or
IP
whatever.
YouTube,
Yeah.
whatever, you know. So I think we need to understand that.
This agreement, you went in and updated it to add in this
I did,
service.
I
and
did, but
it
I
hasn't
mean,
been reviewed
it's
by
probably
Eric yet.
something that Eric needs to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah.
Eric looked at it.
I mean, if you look at that, it's a huge agreement right now, and if Eric gets done with it, I'm not sure where it's gonna go, so.
I actually thought it was short. I would be more comfortable in saying, let's see what Eric says first.
Do you want to try it too?
You need
I
the
would-
approval to go forward, conditioned upon, subject to.
We're,
Legal, yeah, legal.
but you
Or-
could-
Or we can wait, you
Yeah,
know,
you
I am
could-
in not
you
a
could
big
con-
hurry, but
you're-
I was
you
just
can-
asked to do this, and so I'm just trying to give you information.
you can continue it tonight, allow us to go now and get some insight from Eric and come back to you. That's not a problem.
I think that'd be a good idea for us to give us some time to try it out ourselves and for legal to look at it and then bring it back next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, try it, good trial.
sounds great. And if you guys would just send me, whoever wants to go after this, just send me an email, and I'll get you signed up and set up.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Thanks for doing that work. All right, that's our last agenda item.
Got an official
Gonna
motion?
make a motion.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we continue the resolution for extreme high definition IPTV streaming service until next meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Garrett and a second by Councilmember Egbert.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Great, we'll move on now to our administrative reports. We can start with Chief.
Look at him giggle over there. First things first, 3.5 minutes. I put a press release out that said 4 minutes, but I was corrected. 3.5 minutes on scene of a fully engulfed garage fire. That's unreal. That is unreal. So, kind of speaking out of two sides here from your police chief and a grandson of the people's garage that was on fire, but absolutely saved that house. When I pulled up, it was 2 in the flames coming out of the garage. The garage was done, but the house wasn't, and the house is closer than you and I are. And
This was your grandparents' house?
up on Maple. And those guys, they got the water, and Theron was there, he's seen it, but they got the water on the house, and the house is standing. And when I was up there today, they're still just overjoyed to be in their house. So good work setting up what we have over there. That's on you guys, and I certainly appreciate the work that was done over there. Grandma will probably be meeting with you guys soon. She's anxious to do that. So a couple other real quick things.
What caused the fire? They figured out?
Yeah, it's electrical problem in the garage, yep. A 1956 welder didn't help, but hey, you get quality items, they last forever, right? Our canine is growing. She's getting to the point now where her permanent teeth have come in and she can start doing the real training. So we're getting close. She's gonna start her drug training next month, right around in there. Just want to give you an update on the budget with her. Still it's totally, we're not a penny out of pocket on this, and we'll keep it that way. The big expense we had was modifying the officer's truck. That cost us almost $7,000. The training is adding up, so we're getting there. Her budget's down in the $3,000 to $4,000, so we'll probably be doing some reaching out to some sponsors and stuff here coming soon. So if you know if somebody needs a write-off, we can have a conversation about that. But she's doing awesome. Super impressed with her, and we had some fun. I don't know if you guys seen this. We had some fun with her over at the school just before Christmas, and I mean, when they called, they didn't want us, they wanted the dog. That's how it's probably gonna be, and so they were awesome. Oh, and I wanna read this to you, and then I'm done. But each year, several agencies in the county contribute an officer to Utah County Major Crimes, which is the undercover drug officers. We don't have the manpower to do that, so we kick in $2,500. It's a pretty small price to pay. If we have a homicide or something up here, they're at our disposal. We can call them like that. Just want to give you some very quick numbers on, while I was sitting there, their year-end report came in. This year, compared to last year, so in 2022, they confiscated 101 pounds of heroin compared to 41 last year. 101 pounds. This year, they confiscated 189 pounds of meth compared to 223 last year, so down a little bit. 29 pounds of cocaine compared to 2 pounds last year. Marijuana is down because it's mostly legal. 69 pounds of marijuana compared to 273 last year. And then here's an interesting one I wanted to bring up: fentanyl pills. Fentanyl is making an appearance, and it's in our community. We've seen it here. 57,000 pills compared to 44 last year. 144 guns compared to 73. 165 felony arrests compared to 116. And 35 federal indictments compared to 9 last year. $661,000 confiscated. So
How many indictments, federal indictments?
I want to say 35. Let's get it back.
Compared to 9?
35 compared to 9.
Wow.
So those are usually gun charges, federal stuff. So anyway, we're getting some bang for our buck in our community there. So the guy running that lives in town. He's a good dude. So anyway, our year-end report, we'll plan on giving that to you at the retreat and spending a little time talking about where our statistics have gone over the last couple of years. So anyway, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thanks,
Chief. All right, Logan.
So I just wanted to share some pictures, and you can just kind of flip through them, or John, if you have them. So we had 2 community members that were able to come and take some of our old jerseys and shirts and be able to take them to, one went to Congo, so this one is Rick Mango, and he has a school that he's affiliated with. I don't know the logistics if he built it or whatever, but he's associated with it. So he recently went out. So there's 5 or 6 pictures of students that were able to benefit from our shirts and stuff. That last one is actually some of our Pioneer Day shirts that were left over for the fun run. So more or less, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Rick for able to do that, and then also just kind of show that what some of our extra stuff was able to do. It's pretty neat and pretty awesome to see these photos. The next one is Val Littleton. She's one of our yoga instructors. She's part of the APA Sherpa Foundation, and she quite frequently visits Nepal. And so same thing with her. She was able to take, I think she took 4 boxes full of old shirts, jerseys, socks, and was able to distribute them to these villages and communities for them to use. So, like I said, just more or less a thank you to them and just to show you what they were, and it's pretty neat to see it. So, and that is it for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Logan. Mr. Euler, I'm guessing you're good? All right. Mr. Conroy.
Just one quick one. We had kind of an issue come up on a subdivision development, but it's turned into I think, a pretty good opportunity for us. And I just wanted to give you a heads up and see if you had any quick feedback. This is the Maple Hills development, this is 400 North Maple Canyon Road. This is 2000 East. So this goes in dead ends. You can see that they've installed some of the infrastructure for phase 1. They've recorded Plat 1, which is back here. They submitted Plat B, which includes a lot of this area. And as we've done more geotech work, there are some geotech hazards in those areas that don't create the best building lots. And so we went to the developer and said, well, what if we redo this as a PRC and kind of cluster it like the general plan encourages and create some open space that would protect that and also would be another opportunity for our trail system. One of the things on this north side of the bench is we don't really have good access up, and we do have some property up on the bench. That's pretty cool, right, Logan? There's some neat places up there. So one of the things that may come out of this is, I'll show you not sliding. So this was the original plan, primarily 1 acre lots. Just a real quick conceptual plan would be to do some smaller half-acre lots and open up some of this area. So he's showing on this concept about 5 acres that could be dedicated to the city, and that would be at the base of that hill that could provide some access up to the front. So what it would require, though, is we would have to rezone it to PRC and relook at the development plan. But if anything, it's going to be fewer lots, not more. It certainly won't be any more than was originally approved, and probably will be a few less. So just wanted to throw that out there and let you know we're working on that. But I think this would be a superior option to the original plan anyway. So
Does the developer still own all the lots?
yeah, it's Patterson Construction, and they've been really good. They've been really good to work with. So
That's great.
Is it water table or soil?
no, it's called a graben. That's basically soil that usually is associated with faults that's difficult to build on, and the more you can stay away from it, yeah, the more you can stay away from it, the better. Okay,
Sweet.
so hopefully that's good news. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you posted.
Solution.
That's all I had.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. All right, Rob, it's your chance.
All right. Well, I just got the update on one project and a few that'll be coming up early this year. So the 1200 North sidewalk project was intended to be done, at least all the sidewalk poured before school started again today, but weather was not cooperating. So they had to take out a lot of the base. It got become too saturated, even though they had it blanketed and were trying to keep it warm and dry, just with all the rain and snow we've had. It wasn't cooperating. So it might be done by this weekend, at least all the concrete poured, and then we'll come back in probably April and pave the road. That requires a lot warmer weather than what we have right now. Concrete you can do right now if you keep it covered. Asphalt is not the same. But if weather continues to be too cold and too wet, then we're gonna have to wait for it to dry out again. So we'll see how that goes. And then just to let you know, next council meeting, I'll be coming in with a proposal to approve the task order for Hanson Allen Luce to do the next step of our water master planning, which is to redo the comprehensive water and irrigation master plan. I think you guys approved just a couple of months ago the water rights master plan. This is for the distribution systems, the interconnected distribution systems, or at least they play off of each other, right? The more that we can deploy the pressurized irrigation, it changes what we need to do for the culinary water. The last time that was updated was in 2018, and it's pretty common to update those every 5 years. So they had worked with Stephen to put together that proposal, and I'll be bringing that to you in 2 weeks. And then 2 other projects that we're working on. We've got the contractor on board and just need to finish up the agreement, or get all the signatures on the agreement, and we'll be doing the connections for the pressurized irrigation, kind of from the center to the center to south end of town, connecting those to the Central Utah Water. So that should hopefully start here in the next few weeks. We need to have those connections made by the time irrigation season starts. And then we're finishing up design, and hopefully we'll start construction later this spring on the spring rehabilitation project.
Excellent. Nice work.
I got a quick question for you, Rob. Steve was working kind of with some of the local residents on that 1200 North sidewalk project. Has he got you in connection with them? Are they been updated as far as the delays on that sidewalk?
Yeah, so Seth Barris, who's our staff engineer, hopefully was able to get a hold of them today to let them know kind of where things stand. So he had some other things that he was taking care of, and I wasn't able to touch base with him to make sure that he had made that connection before I left today. But if not, we'll contact them tomorrow and just let them know where things stand.
Okay, awesome.
We can talk in the morning, make sure it's the same person that's
Same
kind of been
people.
reaching out to the council in the past.
Okay.
So we can talk on that.
Great, excellent. Thanks, Rob. Okay, Reed?
Just a little bit on the transfer station, the construction. It rained and snowed. It's really a messy, sloppy mess down there, but they're doing the best they can. So far, it hasn't impacted the schedule, but it probably is going to likely to. But they're still making good headway. They almost have the push wall all poured. Things are going ahead.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jessica?
Welcome to Rob. Short-term rentals. So the legislative session is coming up real fast. Representative Benyon called me today. She's been on the interim committee looking at short-term rental legislation for the state with Representative Musselman, and there is a draft bill coming out that I'm hopefully going to see tomorrow. She was reaching out to coordinate some meetings with a few representatives from other cities tomorrow with Julie Davies, who's consulting on it. One of the biggest issues that we're looking at is there's some legal activity in Nevada between short-term rental agency and the state where there's more than $2 billion sitting in a fund that's supposed to pay for transient taxes, if I understand right, that the agency is actually using to reinvest in property instead of taxes. So there's like a lot going on nationwide with this. My understanding right now that the legislation is very generalized, kind of like the moderate income housing, that it's sort of like every city needs to have some ordinances about this. But I haven't seen it yet. And I did get some hints that this might be something that the league might not be thrilled about. So there's got to be something in there I don't know yet. So watch for that. There's the same oversight concerns, but the short term, I mean, for the sake of minutes, it's just there's a lot of activity related to short-term rentals and legislation, and we should pay attention to that. Legislative session starts January 17th through March 3rd. Encourage people to be involved, especially with the league, as we have legislative policy committees on Mondays. There's local officials day at the legislature on January 18th, so hopefully we have a large group coming from here and from the Youth City Council. They'll be talking about more than flags this year. And then Reed had brought up something regarding paying taxes. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that. I floated that around. Mayor Lundberg from Linden is looking in it in there. And
I forgot about that.
yeah, so you might want to go back on that. So I'll punt back to you. My only question was, do we have proposed retreat dates?
I don't think we do.
Yeah, we actually, the department head, we talked this morning, we're looking at the end of February, those last 2 weeks in February. So we're going to
Yeah,
send some
sooner's
dates.
better on getting some dates out. If
What's
we can-
that?
If we can get some dates out to look at pretty quickly, that'd
Okay,
be
I'll send them
good.
tomorrow.
We're busy.
And what I'll do is give you a couple dates and times. We were also wondering where you'd like to go. But Logan was going to reach out to Provo City with their new facility. They have a few conference rooms that are fairly nice, but I know in the past, all of you've had a few connections to help us with that. Is there somewhere you'd like to go this year that you're aware
I
of?
don't ever even mind just being here. So, not so retreaty, but
Okay, well, if you're okay, maybe let's look at that Provo one, see if they can let us use their facility for,
That'd be great.
so I'll send the dates out tomorrow.
awesome.
Excellent.
Want to address that?
Yes, I should have mentioned, I didn't even think about it right now. One of the items that was kind of, I shouldn't say overlooked, but nobody was aware of was a tax implication that will be with this solid waste district, which is a special district, which will affect all special districts in Utah, especially coming construction. The way the law is written on sales tax, apparently it can be taken two different ways, and they're kind of pushing it the way to where if the special district buys the materials, they're tax-free. If the contractor buys materials and installs them on the property, they have to pay sales tax. And this just came to light about a month ago. And so the impact that'll be is probably well over $1 million if we have to go ahead with it. And we're trying to see what we can do with the legislature to maybe kind of clarify the language or clarify the law. Because I think the intent of those laws is that we shouldn't have to pay sales tax for government-issued items in that regard. But the way it's heading right now with what we found out and how some of the contractors are interpreting it, we're going to have to do sales tax. So we're trying to nip that in the bud, but we'll see where that all ends up. But it doesn't just affect our project, it affects all special districts in Utah. Ours happens to be the one that it festered, that it finally broke, and we're starting to ooze, but there's projects coming up, so
I
I
don't
guess.
want any solid waste oozing.
I know that's probably not a good way to put it, but
Perfect term.
anyway.
It's perfect.
Okay, good. Thanks, Reed. All right. Casey?
Yeah, so NYCC, they're having an end-of-year banquet next Thursday. Logan is working on some plaques to give to the advisors and a basket to give to Joanne as well. Sarah is all teed up to start, be the new director for that. Their application process ends next Friday. And from what I've heard, they have a good turnout of applications that are coming through. And they are planning on attending the local officials day. It might just be the leaders of the NYCC, but Joanne said that there's lots of kids that are really excited about attending.
Cool. Excellent.
The only thing I have is just a reminder, follow-up to my text yesterday regarding the chamber morning workshop next Tuesday at 7, be there by 7:45. By 7:45, we'll be done promptly, no later than 9 o'clock. So there were a few of us that were there last year. We will be meeting at the Springville City. I think I did include that amendment in my text.
It's not the library.
Springville City office, in their multipurpose room.
So not at the library, but at the
Correct.
city building.
At this, yes, at the city building. Yep. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Leslie. Okay, Theron?
Not much, other than a little bit on the fleet. Just remind your department heads that if they have any fleet-related issues, I'm filling in for Stephen until Rob gets up to speed. Unless Rob just doesn't want to do it, then I'll just keep doing it. But we've got several trucks on order and budget projections for more purchases for vehicles in the near future. So any maintenance kind of receipts or invoices should all come to me. Lori's been sending them to me, so that's great, thanks. So that I can input them into the system. Other than that, I've got nothing.
Great. Thanks, Theron. Camille? Corey?
Piggybacking on that retreat topic, if you wouldn't mind, once I send that email, let us know what particular items you would like us to, provide some information for you on. I know there's a few that we've already been talking about. For example, short-term rentals is one of them. The bike trails plans, and one thing that we've had this last year is just traffic complaints and what we want to do with those. Obviously, MCN will have some discussion with that, as giving you some updates. But if you wouldn't mind taking a look at some other ones that you'd like us to discuss.
Can we add to that list, taking over our roads from UDOT?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's been a big
Rob-
conversation. There's a lot of implications with when and what that would mean, what the budget implications and liabilities would be.
Yeah, in fact, Rob was talking with that this morning on it, so, yep, it's a good one. Also, Casey, on the banquet, is that the council invited to that as well, or is that?
I'm not sure. I was planning on going, but I assume if anyone wants to go, they could.
Well,
To
today,
the mayor? Okay, so we'll get that over to you. I just didn't want to, yeah, if you want to check on that, just to make sure we're not. And then Dallas keeps reaching out to me twice a day on the State of the City address. He wants me to schedule that one. So I gotta get. What we're looking at is somewhere that first week of February, so we'll keep you posted on the date on that, but well, I'll have that by next week. That's all I have.
great. Many of you, maybe some of you, I'm sure you saw it. I don't know if anyone attended it. They swore in the new city attorney in Springville last week, or I don't know what week it is now. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. Eric Jewell. Chief, thanks for helping with those. What did I say? Oh, same thing, right? Attorney, judge. There was 16 original applicants, and then you narrowed it down to 4. And the mayor and I in Springville interviewed the remaining 4, and honestly, any 4 of them could have done a good job, but Eric is really good. One of the most important things was understanding his temperament with people and how he treats people. You know, a lot of these people with what they're going before the judge of in our court is first-time offenses or simple things. They've never been before a judge, and you got people standing there that have no clue how the system works, what's going on. And I wanted to understand how he deals with those types of cases and people. And anyway, he had great responses. I talked to Mayor Bill Wright Payson. He's been working there for several years now. And anyway, we chose him, and he's awesome. I think he'll do a great job. Treat the people the right way, the way that, you know, Chief tries to treat people here in the city, and the way we try to treat people. And so I think he'll be a good reflection of us. Other than that, you covered everything else, I think. Okay, we'll look for a motion to close. Sorry it's so early.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones and a second by Councilman Garrett. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.